Alright, so this is just gonna be a, well, hopefully brief video about all the cameras that I've owned and cameras that have inspired me. So let's go. Alright, so the first camera is the Instamatic 44. And this camera was released in 1969 and it had a run until around 1973. And I think this is probably the first camera I ever seen, like in person, when I was a kid. My parents took a trip to Calgary during their, during their younger years, and this happened to be one of the cameras that was popular at the time and affordable. But my memories of this camera are pretty vivid, honestly. I remember playing with this when I was very, very young, probably 2 or 3 years old, and I was amazed at the, you look through the viewfinder and wow, look at that. You can like create something, you can create an image that could be a family memory or anything, that's the beauty of it. But yeah, this is the actual one. This is not something that I bought afterwards. This is the actual one that I played with when I was a kid, 2, 3 years old. I remember my parents had a drawer in their basement, and there were two or three of these things, of these cameras. And I remember this one specifically because it's missing the like the top, but either way, yeah. And it also has of course, the hand strap still attached. So my parents would have bought this around 1969 to 1973, we'll say. But yeah, this is the very first camera I ever laid eyes on. And we all know how that went. I was about 2 or 3 when I played with the Instamatic. I don't even know if I ever took a photograph with it, but it was, to me at the time, it was a toy. Like, I seen it as like an action figure or like a dinky or something like that. Like, I didn't understand what its function was, but when this thing came along, the JVC GRC11 home cam, I just added the home cam in because that's what came to my mind. But when this thing came along, that's when filmmaking and movies and everything were starting to take an impact on what I was doing. You wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and of course you have to be to school at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you were watching cartoons, and you were watching these cartoons and you were thinking, how in the hell is this possible? How is there something on this television screen that I am watching that someone made? That was just me. I was extremely inquisitive about that. I always thought to myself, what? How did they do it? And of course, it was a little more advanced than this thing. But this camera was the first time I ever laid hands and started to a true professional. I have the lens cap on. Lovely. This is the first time that I ever looked through a viewfinder and started to, instead of just looking around and kind of going like, oh, I'm a kid, I'm 5 years old, 6 years old. Oh, look around. I started to like pick this thing up a lot. Isn't that cool? oh wow, I can zoom in and out? Isn't that cool? You know? So this camera was the camera that I shot my very first film on, and I'll never forget it. This used to sit above my parents' refrigerator, and it used to be in a wicker basket. And I'd always ask, like, my mom or whatever, I'd say, hey, can I play with the camera? Can I play with the camera? You know, and she'd say, I don't know, you know. But I'd get my hands on it, and I'd just kind of, unfortunately, I don't have the footage. I haven't gotten there yet. But I used to play with this thing all the time. It was like, you know, you had your Star Wars action figures, and you know, besides that, rocks and mud. But this thing was like, holy shit. Wow, what the hell is that? You know, wow. I'm making a movie. You know, and I always thought that it was like a cartoon, like the cartoons that you watch on Saturday morning, or like, you know, before school, as I said before. But my very first film was shot on this, and I'll recount that for you. It was called The Hurricane, and for whatever reason, I was about 6 years old. I said to my dad, I said, Dad, I want to make a movie, okay? Like, you know, oh, okay, let's do it, you know? And this just happened to be like a toy that I was infatuated with. So anyway, we got together you know, I had a couple of toy trucks, like made out of steel. Not like now where they're made out of plastic. But they were made out of steel. I had some really cool ones. I'll never forget the blue, you know, the tractor trailer, or the thing that like carries cars on the highway when they're delivering them to the dealership. Well, I had one of those, and it came with cars, but I didn't give a shit about the cars. I just cared about like the cool like ramp that went up and down. So anyway, me and my dad got together on the carpet. Do you know what that is, kids? Carpet? No, of course you don't. But we got together on the carpet, and we cut up a bunch of white like paper, and we had a fan, you know, like a fan that would just like, you know, like a cooling fan. I forget the name of the brand. Anyway, whatever. But it was white but stained yellow because of smoking inside. And we threw the pieces of paper, cut up paper, into the fan, and it made snow. And also, I had collected like rocks from like playing on the beach and stuff and all that. And me and my dad, at the same time, we set this camera up on the carpet, just like ground level, and threw rocks at the vehicles and dented the living hell out of them. Oh my God, like just, you know, as hard as we could throw. And that was my first film, The Hurricane. And see, now what doesn't make sense is, I don't think there's any snow in a hurricane. So I think I may have been reading too much, and I got my storm, geez, what do you even call it? The science of a storm. I think I got it crisscrossed. But yeah, we threw all the paper in there, and there was like snow and rocks bashing against the vehicles. And yeah, that was my very first movie. Shot on this exact camera. Let's move on.